Hey there, everybody. This is Kristin from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation practice. And we are in the month of self-embodiment, where we're going to focus on caring for, nurturing, listening to, etc., our physical bodies. And of course, we can't really talk about the body as this separate component because the physical body, of course, is a part of us. It's not just, a brain taxi. I've heard people refer to it that way in mindfulness circles, where it just gets your brain around and helps you to interact with the world in that regard. We are truly integrated with our bodies. And when I'm talking about the body and some of the signals that it sends, which is going to be related to our theme for this week, it is about the body, but it's also about, and then you can use whatever term feels right to you, your inner wisdom, your spirit, your highest self, whatever it might be. All of these things are inexorably intertwined while we are in this body. And so when I talk about our idea for this week and what I'd like for you to reflect on, yes, I'm talking about the body, but it really is about that integration between the body and what I just mentioned, yourself, who you are. So when I was thinking about what I should name this particular week's practice video, the first thing I thought of was, don't let your body raise its voice. But then I was like, no one wants to, why would I start with a don't? That's a little off-putting. And so I thought about instead the one that I'm going with, which is when your body, quote unquote, raises its voice. And what I mean by that is the following. Your body raising its voice is essentially when it's giving you some signals, like maybe you need to expose yourself to less stress, or maybe you need to let yourself rest, or maybe you need to allow yourself to choose foods that are nourishing as opposed to, just distracting or, somehow pleasure creating or something, but aren't really good for you. And where I'm getting at with all of this is that for whatever is happening, your body is sending you these signals. It could be, just tension in the body, in the muscles. It could be, not being able to sleep as well as you would like. It could be physical pain, back pain. It could be gastrointestinal issues. You get the idea. Now, in past videos, you have probably heard me refer to a couple of books. One, I think the title is a little off here, but I remember it as being The Body Keeps Score, something like that. And then the other one that I'm a big fan of is The Mind-Body Prescription by, I think it's Jonathan Sarno. And the whole idea behind those is that our body is basically giving us signals as a way to not only ask for what it needs, but in many regards to really allow us to deal with what we need, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. So when I think about when the body raises its voice, that's when those signals really get to the next level. And what inspired me to bring this up, and I don't know, if you take a look at all the text in the various emails that I sent, but the one for announcing last month's theme of self-advocacy, I think it was in that one where I talked about the fact that I had been knocked on my butt by irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, where it was this whole complete gastrointestinal breakdown, and it was completely stress related. And one of the things I said in that email was, in spite of the work that I'm trying to do for myself internally and reading and all of the things that I'm also offering to you based on what I learn and my own journey, sometimes shit just gets crazy and there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening, and then the body has to raise its voice. And so in this case, That's how it affected me. For some people, it can be pain. For others, it can manifest in a variety of ways. So my point is, let's try to tune in to what our bodies are telling us before it gets to that point where it has to raise its voice, and most importantly, honor that. And that can take a variety of forms. You know all the things. Sleep more, rest more, eat healthily, but not in a rigid way. Move your body, but not to the point where you're like exhausting yourself. I mean, you know what's up. So that is my invitation to you, is to tune in your body. What are some of the signals that it's already sending you that you might be not paying as much attention to as would be ideal? And how can you make some choices to honor these requests that it's making of you in some form or fashion? So let's go ahead and honor our bodies and our minds through our meditation. We're going to sit for 10 minutes as usual. And I might actually invite you to focus on the body. I hadn't really thought about that until this moment, but if you don't want to do that and you want to focus on the breath or something else, that's entirely fine. Do what feels right to you. But I think as far as the guiding part, I'm going to emphasize the body since that's what we're talking about today. If you haven't already, inviting in those 3 deep breaths. They can be quiet. They can be loud. Remembering that you can come back to these at any time in your practice, and of course at any time in your day. You've heard me say many, many times, it's a way to activate your body's relaxation response. It's a way to release the stress cycle. You've heard me talk about that before. It's a way to just get back to that homeostatic, more regulated physiological state. And even when we're not necessarily feeling escalated or activated or triggered, sometimes there can be a low hum of being elevated or escalated in some way. And so those deep breaths just help us to check in and downshift us slightly to a slightly calmer and more grounded state. At least, perhaps it will. So as you're settling in, as I said earlier, doing whatever feels right to you, but if you'd like to follow with me, I'd like for you to just notice your body right now. You can start with the most obvious thing, just noticing your posture. No need to change anything. Getting a sense of feeling where you are in space. Feeling the support of whatever you are resting on. Feeling the perimeter of your body, the envelope of your skin. Noticing what parts of the skin are exposed to the air. Noticing that temperature. If there are any air currents that you can feel on the skin. And also noticing what the skin feels like if it's not exposed but is covered in clothing, perhaps making contact with the chair or the bed or the floor. And then if you care to, you can bring your awareness under the skin if you haven't already. Noticing what internal sensations are most obvious to you right now. Sometimes discomfort makes itself known with a little more volume than relaxed ease. And if that's so, you can just make that the object of your awareness right now. Maybe an ache in the knee or the back. And odds are most of your body is going to have a quality of neutrality. It doesn't necessarily feel good, but it doesn't feel bad either. And we usually don't pay very much attention to things that are neutral. So if it's interesting to you, perhaps noticing, are there any parts of the body that feel very neutral and yet are worthy of your attention, curiosity? And then as you check in with the body, are there any signals that it's sending you? It could be as simple as the growling of a hungry stomach, but it could also be some of those bigger things we referenced at the beginning. The knot in your shoulder or back or neck. When does it get worse? Does it ever loosen on its own? Are there areas of the body that you are clenching? You don't need to unclench them. This is really just a check-in. While I'm not a student of chakras necessarily, some of the areas that often make themselves known are related. Perhaps something around the throat, often about expression, the heart, about connection. The solar plexus above the navel often has something to do with feeling safe, always scanning. The belly or sacral chakra about creation and also connection. And then the root, the base of your torso, down the legs, feeling grounded and secure and worthwhile. So those associations with those different parts of the body, those different chakras, might also inform what you're noticing, and they might not. So let's just hold that awareness for the few moments that remain until you hear the bell. That's our 10 minutes. So this week it really is just about checking in with your body, getting a sense of what it needs, paying attention to the signals that it's sending you, and being willing to honor what you are picking up from that and make some choices, perhaps some changes that are in service to whatever it is that your body is trying to tell you before it has to raise its voice in the figurative sense. So as always, thank you so much for taking this time for yourself, and thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. I will see you next week. Take care.